we're going to start working this edge. But we're also going to start bringing in these sides, okay? So I'm going to turn it around. So we're going to scrape this all the way to the top. Now I'm just coming in from one side, and I'm just dragging, I'm scraping it off, and it's just taking that edge off just a little bit at a time. Okay, and it's also lifting my edge. I'm kind of just setting it on the top and then pressing with some pressure, and then just dragging it and ripping it off. Alright, there we go. Now we've lifted that edge all the way up to where we can't lift it anymore. Alright, that's where we want it. Come on around. Do the same thing. Remember, don't press, don't squeeze. Just hold it and stabilize it with the thumb so it doesn't jump around. You want to keep it back here again so it doesn't move this way, okay? The only movement is in your arm and wrist, alright? We're not pressing, we're just stabilizing. If you press, you will snap it, okay? Especially after we get thinning the piece down. We need to take all this outside off because, for one, it's the highest point in this side. Alright, so we're going to try to flatten this out so it doesn't have this dip in it or this hump in it. Okay, and that's the primary goal, is to flatten this piece. Okay, so we're taking all the high spots out, which is the edge all the way around, the highest part, and it's also the lowest part on the other side if you flip it over. Alright, so that's the thing, we're working front and back. We're staying conscious of both sides, and we're going to work both sides together. Okay. Alright, there we go. Now, a little grinding. Alright, this is just taking off some sharp edges. That's going to cut my hand if I put it in my hand and press on it. Alright, there we go. Now, take flakes. I'm just chipping off the sides. Bringing in this side in, okay? And I'm going to use that diamond as a guide that's in there, okay? This guide. I'm going to bring in the side here, and I'm going to bring in this side here and make a piece that's kind of like this. So I'm just going to take off these sides and make it a long rectangle instead of a circle. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over. On this side. Gosh, there it goes. Once you get it started, sometimes it's hard to get started. Now this is just practice, guys, alright? After you've been doing this, your aim becomes a lot better, and you can hit right where you want to hit at, and that's very important. remember, go slow. Don't try to bite off too much at once, because that's when you break it. Alright. We're just shaping right now. And we're just preparing to be able to pressure flake, okay? Now, this is called direct percussion in Flint Knapping. This is what I call direct percussion. Alright, and direct percussion is when you take a tool and you directly hit the piece to flake it. Alright, that's direct percussion. There's also an indirect percussion where you would take, this is a modern tool here, but you could use a deer antler in a stick as well, like this, a deer antler tip and into a wooden stick, and then you can hold it under your knee like so, okay, and then you can put this on the edge there, and then you can take a rock or something like this and you hit down on the stick, and it flakes it there. It's a more precise way. It's a better way to get exactly where you want, especially if your aim isn't good, and you can get a lot of power strikes in it. So indirect percussion is great for working tough pieces that are really hard to flake by hand, right? And it can produce some really great results, indirect percussion. So I would definitely recommend looking into the indirect percussion, but I would strongly urge everyone to learn as much as they can, as many ways. There's tons of ways to flint knap. There's traditional ways, there's modern ways, there's fog, which is flaking over grinding, where you actually grind the piece all the way down to a point and then you just do one pass of flake over top of it. Then there's indirect, there's direct, there's pressure flaking, there's freehand knapping like I am floating here. Some people also use a pad on their leg to lay it on, and they use their leg. You know, to each their own. Everybody has their own little ways, and flint knapping is an art. It's a craft, and art, there is no right way or wrong way. You know, it just matters about what you want to get out of it, and you can get there however you want to get there. All right, now we're starting to get somewhere. Now, see how we're flattening this piece out? We still have a little hump, okay, but not much. The only thing we have left at the bottom is that Clorox sign, like I said. I'm going to keep a little extra on the outside because we still got some thinning to do. All right, and now we're going to jump over to this side. All right, to the hump side. Now this side's really going to flake really well. All right, like I said, because it's uphill, and it'll flake and it'll just go right on over. All right, so let me show you. We always grind first to grind down the thin edge. All right. Now when we look at it sideways, we see that our platform comes down. Okay. All right, we want to hit at least halfway or lower on our platform. If we hit higher than halfway, we risk a chance of snapping the piece, all right, because it's just too much downward pressure on it. So what we need to do is come in and hit right on the edge in there, all right? And that's where I said that your aim and your practice comes in, because that takes a little while to establish, being able to hit right where you want to hit it at, okay? Again, put that right back into the knuckle cleat right there so it doesn't push back. I just set my fingers underneath to hold the flake so it doesn't move. My thumb is right on top, just barely holding down, not pressing, okay? And I'm gonna come in right about this angle, like this. There it is. All right. So you can hear the difference. Now watch. Take it over. There's my flake remover. See how it went all the way to the middle? That's what you're aiming to do. You want to bring all these flakes over to the middle, at least the middle. You can go over, but you don't want to go all the way to the other edge. That's called an overshot. There's times when you can want to do overshots, but most of the time you blow the edge out on this side and it makes it a little harder and you end up with a smaller piece than you want anyway. All right, so grind. Another flake. Another flake. Flip it around this way. We'll clear this side. Grind it. You don't have to over grind, but I'm just grinding that thin edge. And the reason for grinding, one, you put that dust on there, all right, and that gives it a little bite, stops it from slipping, all right. Two, by grinding this thin edge down, when you hit this, the energy of this rock hitting this goes through, and that's what creates that flake. If you have a thin edge along here and you hit it, what happens is the edge crushes and crumbles, and all the energy is lost in that crush and crumble, and you don't get a flake going through. You get a step fracture, which is, well, I don't have any. Well, here's a step fracture right here. This is a step fracture. You can see how my flake went in and it dove down a little bit and it just stopped. And now I have a straight line coming up. That's a step fracture. It's like a step, walking up a step, okay? If I do another flake down here going this direction, all it's gonna do is hit that and stop and make this step even deeper, or possibly break through to the other side. All right, so the only way to clear step fractures is coming from another direction or the other side and taking out all the high part. You don't wanna mess with it on this side, okay? But that's what I'm doing. I'm coming from the other side. So when you work flint knapping, you're always working underneath the piece. Okay. So the spot we want to clear is here. We're going to try to take out some of this step. All right. So what we're going to do is just try to get a good. Oh, I just broke it. All right, guys. Brian Peacock, Epic Outdoor Adventures. I'm back. I just broke this piece. Sorry. It happens, and you know, I've been napping 5 years, and you know, it is what it is. So what happens when you break a piece? Well, first you get pissed off and you cuss and you turn the camera off. Already did that. So now we're moving on to what to do after that. Okay, I was going to make a nice, decent sized point or a blade, and now I'm left with 2 smaller pieces. Okay, set the hammerstone down. All right, set one of the pieces down. Pick up your pressure flaker. Okay, this is a Delron dowel with a solid copper tip in it. Okay. Copper is best to use on modern tools because it's soft and it can bite the edge so you don't slip. Steel will slip and slide all over the place. Brass is kind of the same way. It's a little harder than the copper, even though it will work. Aluminum can work as well too, but it doesn't have the weight. So I mean, copper is pretty much the best. If you're doing abo or aboriginal or traditional style knapping, they would use antler, so that's what they used for their pressure flaker. But this is a modern pressure flaker, and I just like to use this because the antlers tend to they just dull out so fast, and you just constantly have to resharpen them. Alright, same principle with this. We're still going on that platform, not halfway up, alright? But what we're doing is we're going to put pressure inwards, okay? And then we're going to flake down. And what that does is it throws a flake in goes down in this little channel here, okay, so it can release. If I do this up here on this hard piece, that flake will stop as soon as it hits that, and you'll have a step fracture. So that's why we have this little cavity dug out here, so that flake can go through there, the energy can keep going, flake can release, and it doesn't get stopped. All right, now you can use leather that's padded up a little bit, and that leather will give a little bit to where you can lay it flat on that leather and you can get a flake. So it just depends on which style you want to do. But we're going to push inwards and then pop it down. I'm going to go all the way around this piece here. And just clear that side. Let's see here. What do we want to do with this? Alright, so what we want to do now is take off all the high spots. Alright, so you're going to work these high spots. And if you tend to find yourself slipping like that a little bit, you can either take your grinder, grind it down a little bit, put some of that dust on there. That dust really helps grab it. Watch them fingers. Don't feel good when you jab them. Watch all these little glass dust particles. They will get lodged in your hands. So clear them off from time to time. Make sure you do this somewhere where you don't mind sharp glass pieces, or do it over a tarp. Right, now here I have a flat edge where it broke, and I need to get an edge like this that has a median ridge, which it's called. So I need to bring that sloping into the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the corner, and we're going to zigzag this. And zigzagging is just going back and forth from one side to the other, and you're just going to make it up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's what clears out a 90-degree edge. Back and forth. Remember, we're not pressing down with our fingers, we're just stabilizing it, holding it still, not pressing down. We want it in the back of them fingers. We want one of them fingers back here to stop it from pushing, because we're putting pressure inwards. Okay, so we need that one finger down there to stop it, these other two to stop it from rocking and rolling. All right, I love rock and roll, but not when you flip that. I was going to stop the video because I broke it and I was mad, but it's definitely a huge part of flint knapping, and you guys are going to do it a lot when you first start out. You're gonna come up with piles of this stuff here, and you're not going to have anything to show for it at first. So prepare yourselves, okay? Prepare yourselves for disappointment. Prepare yourselves for aggravation. Prepare yourselves for bleeding. Prepare yourselves. I'm just letting you know. It is a very rewarding thing to learn to do, but it can be a bugger to really get to do it. It really helps if you have someone around you that already flint knaps that can show you, because it works way better when people can actually show you what to do, opposed to just trying to watch it on a video or what have you. So Alright, now we zigzag that. Now you can see this edge, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's not a 90-degree angle anymore. So now I have platforms to work with. And we're just going to start going off the bottoms of these platforms. So a platform, definition of a Flint Knapping platform, is a slopeward down, alright? And see how it points downwards right there? That's the platform, right there. So when I put this in here, I want to set it right in here, right on that little bottom. And I'm going to knot above the halfway mark now, right in there. And we're going to push inwards and pop it down, and it'll flake through here, okay? And then we're going to come over to this one, and we're going to come over to that one, all right? And that's the way we go. Then we can flip it over, and now all the ups on this side become the downs on this side, and we'll just do the same thing here on this side, all right? So that's basically the platform and the zigzag of how that works. I know it might sound a little confusing, just hearing it for the first times, but you know, we can definitely go into more of all that stuff at a later time. I'm just trying to get this made for you guys so we can move on with some different things that we can teach you guys. All right, so this is really basics.